Well, hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about skincare ingredients that actually work to fade dark spots. Dark spots are otherwise referred to as post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. Basically, whenever there's any kind of irritation in the skin, it can lead to upregulation in pigment production and subsequent dark spots that can take a very long time to fade. This commonly occurs with acne as the acne heals, and it also can happen if you've been using really irritating skincare products, if you've been doing a lot of scrubs that cause a lot of irritation in the skin. Ingredient number one I have to talk about, and I cannot do a video like this without talking about, is vitamin C. Topical vitamin C, specifically L-ascorbic acid. Vitamin C is an antioxidant, so it inhibits free radical formation that can lead to oxidative damage and subsequent upregulation in pigment production. It also can inhibit the enzyme tyrosinase that leads to hyperpigmentation. And you can't do a video like this without talking about it. But the problem I have with vitamin C and vitamin C products is that vitamin C is really unstable, specifically the form L-ascorbic acid, which is what we have the most data on. It's very unstable, it degrades very easily, and when it degrades, it can be incredibly irritating. Not only that, L-ascorbic acid is water-loving and a charged molecule. So those two things combined make it really difficult to get it into the skin. And it oxidizes very readily on exposure to air and light. So manufacturers have a few challenges to overcome in order to have a product that actually is going to work. But because vitamin C is not an actual drug that we prescribe, there's really not much onus on the manufacturer to prove these things. I have the most confidence in SkinCeuticals CE Ferulic. They have done a few things with the vitamin C that have been shown to be helpful for stabilizing it and allowing it to effectively penetrate into the skin. They've added ferulic acid and vitamin E, both of which have been shown to enhance the penetration and stability of L-ascorbic acid. But that product is super expensive. And I know I'm getting a bit sidetracked here, but I always get a ton of questions. Can you recommend an affordable vitamin C serum? And I just feel like, with all the limitations around vitamin C, that just starts to become an anecdotal recommendation. And I don't even use vitamin C myself. So, I'll just stick with recommending the CE Ferulic one, but do know that it's not the only ingredient out there that can help fade your hyperpigmentation. If you do want to use vitamin C serums though, the best way to use them is in the morning. Apply them to your skin, allow them to absorb and dry, and then put on sunscreen on over it. You don't necessarily want to use them at night. It's best to use them in the morning because remember, vitamin C is an antioxidant, so it's going to help in scavenging the free radicals that you're exposed to throughout the day that can lead to hyperpigmentation. So it's best to put it on in the morning underneath sunscreen. Ingredient number two, HYDROQUINONE. This has been the gold standard for treating diseases of hyperpigmentation for over 50 years. It too works by inhibiting that enzyme tyrosinase. Now the downsides of hydroquinone are that it's irritating and it can cause, with long-term use, rebound worsening of the hyperpigmentation. So you have to be really careful with it. Hydroquinone you can buy over the counter in 2% strength, or it's available by prescription. The prescription stuff typically is more effective, but more irritating. In my opinion, it's best to pursue hydroquinone under the supervision of a treating dermatologist to get the best results. That's not to say that the over-the-counter stuff is off the table. I just find that it can be very irritating for people, and remember, anything that causes irritation in the skin can push you over the edge for worsening your hyperpigmentation. But it's certainly an option. A good hydroquinone product that's very affordable is Ambi Fade Cream, 2% hydroquinone. How do you use this? You want to apply it in the evening or in the morning, or you can apply it twice a day if you tolerate it without any irritation. The key though is how you apply it. You don't want to apply it to a widespread area. You only want to apply it to the areas of hyperpigmentation. Put the hydroquinone in the center of the area of hyperpigmentation and then kind of feather it out to the periphery of the affected area. You don't want to use it for longer than 5 to 6 months without taking a break, because if you do, then it can affect the neighboring melanocytes that were otherwise normal and lead to this rebound hyperpigmentation, which you don't want. Hydroquinone is obviously not perfect, and in my opinion, it's best used under the supervision of a treating dermatologist, because there's just all of these little issues that can arise. And then with the cycling of it, it tends to be more nuanced from individual to individual in terms of how it's best used. So I don't know, it's available here in the States over the counter, but in other countries it's not. So it's not even an option around the world. The third ingredient though, I think is one that you can feel a lot more comfortable with, and that is kojic acid. Kojic acid is derived from like mushrooms, and also it was discovered, I believe, in sake fermentation. Anyways, kojic acid is a compound that acts as a copper chelator. Copper is a key factor in that enzyme tyrosinase. So kojic acid you can think of as kind of starving tyrosinase in a sense. And it can cause irritation. People can have problems with it, but generally it's very well tolerated. Now it can take several months to start seeing improvement, but so long as you're tolerating it, you can definitely appreciate some improvement in that hyperpigmentation. A product that I really like that has kojic acid in it, you can get it in the drugstore, is the La Roche-Posay Melody Pigment Control Serum. This has kojic acid. It also has glycolic acid, which will help kind of slough off some dead skin cells and improve the penetration of the kojic acid. But you can apply it, but you don't have to be as precise. However, if you have some spots of hyperpigmentation, to make this last longer, you can just apply them to those areas. Another product with kojic acid that I have used myself in the past and reviewed for you guys is the PCA Skin Pigment Gel. They make one with hydroquinone and one without. So if I use the one without hydroquinone because it's less irritating, but they have both options, and that's really good. It's just more expensive, I think, than the Melody one, but both are really good. I recommend trying it once a day, like in the evening, see how you tolerate it. And so long as you're tolerating it fine, it can be applied twice a day for maximum benefit. Ingredient number 4 is soy. Soy is very well tolerated, except if you happen to have a soy allergy, then you don't want to use it. But otherwise, it's really well tolerated. It can improve hyperpigmentation because basically it prevents the pigment from entering the top layers of the skin. And so it kind of inhibits some of how pigment is moved around. It can really just help even out skin tone. It's anti-inflammatory, and it has a anti-wrinkle effect. It has a skin firming effect, and it can scavenge free radicals. It's really, like I said, it's really well tolerated. I think it is an underappreciated ingredient out there. It's also been shown to improve thinning skin that occurs with aging. It's a great anti-aging ingredient for that reason. So if you are somebody who is more mature and you're seeking an ingredient that's going to help not only improve skin firmness and wrinkles, but also brighten up hyperpigmentation, soy is a good one to consider. You can just apply it in the morning and in the evening. So I have found that the Sana brand from Japan is excellent. These are products that all have soy in them. This particular product is their facial lotion. It's called a lotion, but it's more of a liquid, almost like a serum. And you can put this on in the morning, allow it to absorb, and put on sunscreen on top. If you're somebody who likes to use a moisturizer in the morning, you can put this on and then put your moisturizer on over it, and likewise do the same thing at night. And this particular product you can actually get on iHerb, and you can also buy this, even though it's Japanese. A lot of cities throughout the US have Asian markets, Asian grocery stores that carry this, like H Mart often will carry this. Ingredient number 5 is great for those of you out there who have sensitive skin and or acne and are dealing with hyperpigmentation, and that's going to be azelaic acid. Azelaic acid inhibits free radical formation, and it also inhibits tyrosinase. So for those reasons, it benefits hyperpigmentation. But it does have a modest anti-acne effect. It can help break up closed comedones, aka whiteheads. And it's anti-inflammatory, which is good for both hyperpigmentation and acne, and it also is antibacterial. Beyond that, for people who have a sensitive skin condition called rosacea, azelaic acid is actually a very effective treatment for that condition because of its anti-inflammatory properties. So it really benefits many people, and it's very easy to tolerate. Now, the prescription strength stuff is what we have the data on, and when I'm talking about these benefits of azelaic acid, I'm speaking about what has been shown with the prescription strengths. However, you can buy azelaic acid here in the States over the counter at a lower percentage strength. An azelaic acid product that I really think is very good is the Paula's Choice 10% azelaic acid booster, or the ordinary azelaic acid is also very good. I recommend both of those. And azelaic acid can be applied, again, I recommend trying just applying it at nighttime to see how you tolerate it. It can sting and it can be drying, but otherwise it's very easy to tolerate. You can bump up to twice a day. Ingredient number 6 that is definitely helpful for hyperpigmentation is going to be topical vitamin A. I'll just say the umbrella category there. I'm including prescription retinoic acid. I'm including retinoic acid derivatives, adapalene and tazarotene, and I'm including cosmeceutical retinols. All of these can inhibit that enzyme tyrosinase, and these all help in skin cell turnover that can kind of help in the clearance of hyperpigmentation, smooth out the surface of the skin, allowing for more of a luminous glow that kind of helps basically in the scattering of light. Yeah, topical vitamin A definitely is a mainstay in the management of hyperpigmentation. As a matter of fact, when I was speaking about hydroquinone earlier, I didn't mention that hydroquinone is frequently combined with retinol in the treatment of diseases of hyperpigmentation because they kind of complement one another. Over the counter, you can buy adapalene or differin gel, and that, you know, is a great option. Now, retinol is one of those ingredients that's going to be really helpful for people who have mature skin and are looking for some anti-aging benefit in addition to improving hyperpigmentation. It's going to be helpful for people with acne because it imparts some acne control, and also will reduce the risk that the acne heals with hyperpigmentation. So it's treating the acne, and it's treating existing hyperpigmentation and preventing future hyperpigmentation. So really beneficial in those cases. But it's not going to be the best choice for people with really sensitive skin. When using topical vitamin A, it is advised that you use it in the evening because many forms of topical vitamin A are not stable in the presence of light. So it's best to apply topical vitamin A in the evening to a clean, moisturized, dry face. So wash your face, apply your moisturizer, let everything dry, and then right before you go to bed, put on the topical vitamin A, whatever form that you're using. That's the best way to use it, to reduce irritation and to reduce the risk of it degrading on light exposure. There are some ingredients that cannot be combined with retinol that might be advantageous in your journey to improving hyperpigmentation, and those ingredients you can then incorporate in the morning. One such ingredient is going to be salicylic acid. This is a Paula's Choice 2% salicylic acid, or BHA liquid exfoliant. Now, salicylic acid is anti-inflammatory, and it helps with skin cell turnover to kind of smooth out the skin and remove some of that superficial hyperpigmentation. It also is anti-inflammatory, and it can have a skin brightening effect as well, and it will give you acne control. So this is an ingredient that you could use in the morning and leave on underneath your sunscreen during the day, and you could incorporate the retinol in the evening. That's a really great routine for people with acne, especially people with acne whose acne heals with hyperpigmentation. Really a good pairing. This is also helpful if you have mature skin and are looking to kind of brighten up the complexion and maybe smooth out some textural issues. But like topical vitamin A, salicylic acid is not a good choice for people who have really sensitive skin or rosacea. It can aggravate those conditions. The next ingredient is a good one though for people with sensitive skin. Really any skin type can benefit from this ingredient, and that is licorice root. Licorice root can inhibit how pigment is dispersed throughout the skin, thus having a brightening effect and evening out skin complexion. Licorice root is very good for reducing redness and irritation. It's anti-inflammatory. If you have acne that heals with redness and discoloration, licorice root is a good ingredient to incorporate. A product that I've recommended in several videos is the ProCure Rosacare moisturizer. It's like I mean, you can call it a moisturizer, you can call it a serum. What I like about it is that it has the licorice root, which is the main ingredient, but it also has a green tint to it, so it'll color correct redness. It's really good for post-acne redness as well as hyperpigmentation. And you can apply it by itself, but I find that it works better applied underneath the moisturizer. And it's also really good first thing in the morning to apply it, let it set up, and then put your sunscreen on. That way you really get kind of that cosmetic benefit of the green color correction throughout the day. It's a really nice product. You can get it at CVS, Walmart, and Amazon. Recently though, I discovered the It's Skin LI Effector Power 10 formula. This is a Korean brand, and this is their licorice root serum. I finished it up. It is really good. Unfortunately, this takes forever to arrive, and you can get it on Amazon, but they often sell out and it takes a while. I'll link it down below, but that's another licorice root option. You can introduce it obviously slowly into your skincare routine, starting maybe just in the evening to see how you tolerate it, and bumping up to twice a day if you do. But it's not something you have to be really slow with. It's generally very well tolerated. So that's an ingredient I really like for people trying to help improve hyperpigmentation, because it reduces irritation and inflammation because of that anti-inflammatory effect. It's really well tolerated. It's kind of low risk, in other words. Another similar ingredient that has so many hats in skincare is niacinamide. I love niacinamide. I have a whole video on why niacinamide is a good ingredient. As far as hyperpigmentation, the mechanism of action for niacinamide is that it interferes with the interaction of pigment between the skin cells that make pigment, melanocytes, and the keratinocytes. Melanocytes make the pigment, and then they kind of hand it off to the skin cells, the keratinocytes. And so niacinamide interferes with that, but it's anti-inflammatory as well, similar to licorice root. So it really has many benefits. It also has the benefit of reducing oiliness. It's been shown to be helpful for acne. I mean, it has tremendous skin benefits. Personally, I always recommend CeraVe products. They pretty much most of them, not all of them, but most of the CeraVe moisturizers have niacinamide in them. And it's a no-brainer in those products, because it's like, okay, I'm putting my moisturizer on, and you don't have to think too much about layering it or anything like that. For example, 2% niacinamide used in a moisturizer has been shown to noticeably improve the appearance of hyperpigmentation in people with melasma. So, you know, there's no reason to feel like you have to have a dedicated niacinamide serum or anything. But speaking of CeraVe, I will call out a product that's really good for people with acne. Again, it's their resurfacing retinol serum. The reason I like this product so much for people with acne, especially the types of acne that heal with hyperpigmentation, is that it's got retinol in it. So as I said, that's a good ingredient for helping with skin cell turnover, controlling the acne, reducing inflammation, and it combines licorice root, which I've already mentioned, and niacinamide. So this is really good if you have acne and are looking to derive the benefits of all three of those ingredients. But the most important one, I mean, all of this stuff, just scratch. Don't even, just ignore everything I just told you. Focus on this. The best ingredient for hyperpigmentation is the ingredients that are the active ingredients in sunscreen. Sunscreen alone can and does improve hyperpigmentation, and sunscreen is critical for any of this stuff to work, because exposure to ultraviolet radiation from the sun, including sun that comes through the window, does drive hyperpigmentation. Specifically, the sun that comes through the window is called UVA, and that really has a lot of impact on how pigment is produced in the skin. And the other type of light from the sun that you need to concern yourself with if you have hyperpigmentation that you're trying to fade is blue light. Visible light and the blue light wavelengths is established as contributing to hyperpigmentation. Specifically, it's associated with early onset and more stubborn hyperpigmentation. And you know, a lot of skincare marketing has a lot of buzz around how their ingredients protect against blue light from your phones and TVs. But you know, I have a dedicated video on this. The majority of the blue light that you need to concern yourself with is coming from the sun, including the sunlight that comes through the window as well. So the sun is giving off visible light. That's how we see the world. And that visible light component, in addition to the UV, plays a role in hyperpigmentation, and both come through the window. So I'm telling you guys that because don't think that just because you're indoors all day, it's a reason to not apply sunscreen. Your skin can still be impacted by those wavelengths. Chemical sunscreens have filters like avobenzone, oxybenzone. I mean, there are a ton of different sunscreen active ingredients in chemical sunscreens. Now, those sunscreens, they can give you really good UVA protection depending on how they're formulated. You know, it's not something to... It's beyond the scope of this video for me to get into that, but chemical sunscreens, they can really potentially give you really good protection against the UVA, like the rays that come through the window from the sun that are not visible to you. Those can potentially give you really good protection against those wavelengths. Unfortunately, chemical sunscreens, especially those in the States, because we don't have as many filters here, can be irritating. So for people with hyperpigmentation, those sometimes are just not the best choice for that reason. Now, the other type of sunscreen is physical sunscreen. It has zinc and or titanium dioxide. Zinc will give you protection against the burning rays as well as those UVA rays. Large particle zinc will also protect against the propigmenting wavelengths of visible light, the blue light. Mineral sunscreens, by the way, are much less irritating than the chemical sunscreens. Tinted mineral sunscreens will have an ingredient called iron oxides. Iron oxides in those tinted sunscreens have been shown to provide some protection against those propigmenting wavelengths of visible light. So tinted sunscreens are always a good option, tinted mineral sunscreens. Ultimately though, whatever sunscreen that you like and use consistently, that's the best one. Relying on sunscreen alone is not enough though. You want to be cognizant of how long you're spending time outdoors. And also make sure that you're wearing sun protective clothing, broad hats, long sleeves. I know it's miserable in the heat, but those things, it really needs to be a multi-pronged approach is what I'm getting at. You can't just put on sunscreen and be like, I'm good to go. Because it wears off. We all know it has many limitations. You have to do multiple behaviors, not staying out too long and making sure that you wear, you know, sun protective clothing. So those are my top 10 ingredients for hyperpigmentation. But I hope this video was helpful to you guys. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.